Today I want to share 10 lessons I've learned after 5 years of decluttering and becoming more minimal. Thank you to Osea for sponsoring this video. My decluttering and minimalist journey started 5 years ago when I started to research how to save more money as a somewhat new stay-at-home mom. My research led me to The Minimalists and their documentary on Netflix. After watching that with my husband, I decided that we needed to start decluttering and downsizing all of our belongings. And more than anything, I wanted to stop buying so much stuff and bringing so many things into our home because that was a big part of my stress level when staying home with 2 little boys. When I think back to before I had a family, I had graduated college and I moved to New Zealand for 3 years, and I only brought 2 suitcases with me with everything that I owned, only leaving a few sentimental items and some of my wardrobe behind at my parents' house. I had lived with a lot less before having a family, and I just never knew that it was called minimalism, and I had also got rid of things that I didn't need, and I had never heard of it as decluttering. I just thought of it as getting rid of the items that I was no longer using or clothes that didn't fit me anymore. We never had a ton of stuff, but we did have more than we needed, and most of those items came to us after we bought a house and started our family. People would offer us things, and I just said yes no matter what. I would also go to garage sales and find a lot of secondhand items that I tried to decorate my home with that actually just led to a lot of clutter now that I look back, rather than my home looking decorated and stylish. Fast forward 5 years, and I have learned quite a few lessons when it comes to decluttering and trying to stay more minimal. And while it makes my life so much easier, there were quite a few things that I learned along the way that I'd like to share with you today. The first thing is that active decluttering can take quite a bit of time, and 5 years into this, I find that I have to stay up on the decluttering every season, and I personally prefer to do seasonal declutters where I go through my entire house to try to find things that we are no longer using or that we have grown out of. Especially having kids, they grow really fast and they're quickly in and out of shoes and clothing, toys, and everything else. Another way that I like to keep my life very simplified is through routines and daily habits. This may sound very boring to some people, but usually most of my days look very similar, and that is because I have routines set up. So I wake up at the same time every morning. I usually do the same breakfast routine every morning, making my oatmeal and my coffee. And yes, I do usually eat the same things most mornings. It just makes it so much easier to not have to sit there and wonder, what am I going to eat today? I've also simplified my wardrobe, which has made it very easy for me to know everything can be mixed and matched, so I don't have to sit there and wonder, what am I going to wear today? This doesn't look good, that doesn't look good. I just know everything fits and everything goes together. So by simplifying everything and having my routines put in place, it has helped me to go through my day very easily without having to stop and overthink everything. And part of my daily routine brings me to today's sponsor, Osea. I am currently using the Osea Algae Body Butter every day to keep my skin moisturized. I always start with the Salt of the Earth Body Scrub and finish up with the Algae Body Butter to keep my skin hydrated. Osea is clinically proven to hydrate for 72 hours, firms and minimizes the look of crepiness, leaves skin soft, smooth, and supple, and has an uplifting citrus scent that really smells like summer. The Undaria Algae Body Butter is skincare meeting body care. Nutrient-rich Undaria seaweed, whipped shea butter, and ceramides melt into the skin with this ultra-hydrating formula that's clinically proven to hydrate for 72 hours. And the Salt of the Earth Body Scrub has mineral-rich salts from around the world that buff away roughness, while shea butter and wild Gigatina seaweed nourish for silky smooth glowing skin. I also love that it's vegan and cruelty-free, climate neutral, and California made. For a limited time, you can get 10% off with my code Torrens10. Check out the description box for more information. Another lesson that I've learned through the years is I have to stay inspired. I like to do this by reading books about decluttering, minimalism, and simple living. I also will listen to podcasts, and I love to watch certain YouTube channels about minimalism. I like The Minimalists. I like Joshua Becker, The Minimal Mom, The Mini Mom. I can link all of these down below. I also have my friend Noemi at Scandish Home. All of these homes show a very simplified, organized way of living, and it's very inspiring for me to remember to keep my home simple and that simple things can be beautiful. I've also learned that I need to have my own inner motivation for keeping everything simple. And my motivation is usually being more eco-friendly, trying to save money, or just have more time to myself and for my family. And having that core motivation really helps me to avoid unnecessary purchases that will just fill my home with things that we don't really need. As we've been on this journey, I have realized that not everyone will understand what we are doing, why we might want to have less in our home, and why we may not have our schedules packed full of things to do. I stopped trying to do it all. I don't feel bad if I can't go to every birthday party. I don't have my kids in all the sports. I can't volunteer plus have a full-time job. It's just too much sometimes. And I'm okay with the fact that I've simplified my life and I don't need to be doing everything. Courtney Carver has a great quote. It says, "Doing more things doesn't make you a better person. It makes you a tired person." Taking things off of my to-do list and also scheduling downtime has been one of the best things that I did to simplify my schedule. Staying organized is something that has to be ongoing. I realized this through my last 5 years that while it's easier to stay organized and easier to get everything in order by being more minimal and having less, we still have to reassess how everything is working in our home. I personally love doing this because I like being organized. It's kind of a weird quirk I have, but I think this is just an ongoing task for everyone to once in a while reassess how everything is working and see if anything can be improved upon. More recently, in this last year, I've started to question the ROI, as people say, the return on investment of things that I am doing and my family is doing. The last thing I want to do is spread myself too thin by doing too much, especially in my business, and not seeing results by doing that. So what I like to do is just make sure that I'm not overcomplicating anything or spending my time on things that I don't really need to be doing. One of those things for me was Instagram, which I have been taking an extended break from and absolutely loving the spare time I've found from not using that app right now. I have found that simple living has way more to do with how I spend my time and what I'm scheduling in my day than it does to do with how much is in my home. I always thought that decluttering would just magically simplify my life. Yes, it helps a lot to not have too much stuff, but I feel sometimes we all focus so much on what it is in our home that is bothering us rather than what is actually in our schedule, in our whole life. So I've tried to look at the whole picture instead of only focusing on the items in my home. I've been trying to look at my schedule, my kids' schedule, and just how we like to spend our lives in general more than just focusing on the stuff. I have learned that at some point I just have to be content and happy in the moment, even if I don't feel my life is as simplified as it could be, or maybe it is as simple as it could be. But at some point, I just need to really embrace the current moment that we're in and our current setup. I was listening to a podcast by Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone the other day, and she was talking about how people watch her content and see a warm pie cooling in the window and a linen curtain blowing in the breeze and think, oh, if I only lived on a farm, my life would be more simple. And I think it is very easy to get into that trap of thinking, if I was somewhere else, it would be more simple. Maybe if I lived by the beach, it would be more simple. Or if I lived on a farm, it would be more simple. But at some point, we have to realize that life can only be simplified so far, and I just want to embrace that and be content in the life that I'm in right now. Simplifying should be somewhat easy. If I'm overthinking how to simplify something, then I'm actually overcomplicating it. In every situation, when things seem complicated, I try to think, what can I take away, or what do I not need to be doing to simplify this situation? And by thinking that way, I'm not overcomplicating anything. I'm just thinking, what can I remove from my plate? What can I remove from my home to simplify it? And these are the 10 lessons that I've learned over the last 5 years with becoming more minimal, simplifying my life, decluttering, and trying to make everything less complicated. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.